Hello everybody, Rosemary here from the Lavinia Stamps Design team. I hope you're all keeping well and enjoying the bank holiday weekend. Today I'd like to share a card with you that I've made using some new stamps from the new release, which is called the Forest Realm collection. They're all lovely stamps, but I've just made this little bookmark and turned it into a card so that you could use a card or a bookmark as a gift to a friend or relative. So we start off with a bookmark. I've cut this out using Lavinia Stamps watercolour card. It measures 5 by 5 by 20 centimetres, which is the ideal size for a bookmark. So to start with, I'm using 2 Elements inks, which is Russet Orange and Truffle. So to start with, I'm going to lay some ink down on my mat. And I'm using the Truffle first. I'm just going to spray a little bit of water onto that and a little bit of water onto the bottom of my card. That's perfect. Now I'm going to dry that, and then I'm going to pick up some more just to get a little bit of a darker colour because it's quite watered down. So that's fantastic. That's just what I'm after. So, oops, I'll clean up what I don't need. There we go. I'm going to use my Russet Orange for the second part of my inking. I'm going to lay down my Russet Orange on my mat like before. I'm just going to give it a quick spray and spray my card. Oops, a daisy. I'm going to lay my card in my Russet Orange, and then I'm going to let it drip down. I'm going to give it a helping hand. Try to hold with my nail. To get some orange down in that area there as well. And there we go. You never get 2 cards the same, as we know. Just going to put a little bit more colour up the top there, and then I'm going to dry that. I've got my drips that I wanted. So let's clean up this. Once again, I'm going to hit with my heat gun. I will fast forward this part so you don't have to listen to it. Right, we have to make sure it's dry. Could leave it to dry naturally. I want to make sure it's dry because I'm going to stamp and stencil over it now. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stencil. This stencil is called Glory. I'm going to place it over the top so it covers the top of my stencil. And I'm going to use my Lavinia brush, medium brush, with the russet orange. Just putting it on some paper. So I use russet orange first. I hold my stencil in place and dab off my ink, and then I'm going to gently, I just want a nice background, so it's more in the background than in the foreground, our stencil. Just keep checking to make sure that I can see the pattern. That's looking pretty good at the moment. I'll bring it down here now. Need a little bit more ink. So now I've got a nice subtle background that you can see. I'll clean my stencil later. So that's our stenciling done. And the next thing we're going to do now is we are going to stamp our first stamp. So we've got the moss caps here. This is called the moss cap cluster. This is also one of the new release, and we've got our moss cap, and I'm going to use the larger one. Right, so I'm going to stamp my mushroom stamp using a stamping press. So I'm going to lay my first one I've done in the middle. So I'm going to go quite high with this one because I'm going to have my fairies up here. I'm going to stamp this one in the middle. And for this I used Shady Lane VersaFine Clear ink. Now, I've only used 3 inks on this card. Sometimes when you're lacking in time, you want to make a nice quick card for people. And I just thought that's what I would aim for with these little ones here. I want to put a little bit more ink in my bottom part there. I didn't dab it hard enough, I don't think. Oh, that's better. Just keep going until you're happy. There we go, much better. Right, I'm moving my magnets from the bottom so that I can place my stamp next. I've got a piece of acetate. And a wet cloth. I know I'm using acetate, but I still like to wipe my stamp. So I'm going to place my next stamp on this side. I'm just having it not touching the stem, but the stamp is touching, the edge of this stamp is touching the stem. I'm going to place it round about there so that they're all different heights. Peel off my acetate. Ink up my stamp again. That's inked up too. And then press. Hopefully that's in. Okay, right, I need a little bit more down the bottom. This is possibly because my card could still be a little bit damp, but the ink won't bleed. There we go. And once again, cover my card. I always cover it because I'm just terrible at forgetting and end up clean stamp. End up putting inked stamps where they shouldn't be. Put that over there. Right, so my next one I'm putting much lower down, and once again I want to keep this one in the card. So I'm placing it down there. And that's where that's going to go. Make sure it's nice and straight. And once again, ink my stamp up. And press. Okay. I'll clean my stamp one last time. These are so different to any of the other mushrooms we've got. They're quite good to work with as well. As Lavinia always do, they absolutely stamp beautifully from the first time you use them. Right, there we go. So I'll put that away. So that's our mushrooms done. Now we're going to do some more stenciling. I'm going to do that before I do any more stamping, because I'm going to use the same stencil again. I'll give it a bit of a wipe. I'm not going to put water on it because I don't want it to be wet. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a wipe. And then I'm using my stencil at an angle. Just like that. Just there. A bit too low down. I don't want so much down there. Right. So I'm going to have it about there, and I've got my green brush. I'm going to tuck my paper underneath, and I'm using VersaFine Clear. I'm going to dab it off. To work out where to put my fairy, and I'm just going to gently do some green just to draw your eye to the fairy. And I'm going to come over here a little. I know I took my stencil off, but I'm not going to go near the bit I've already done because I don't want to have a shadow. There we go. And I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of green on this side. Just going to brush like in a circular motion. In a circular motion around my stencil, lightly. Okay, there we go. Put that over there to be washed properly. And that's our stencil finished with. So we've done with that now. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to stamp our fairies. And I have used Fairy Foragers. Oops. So I've used this one and this one. So now I'm going to use a acrylic block for this part. They don't want to stick, so I give them a wipe. Just always clean my stamps on the back if they don't stick first time. They might have dust and dirt on them. So I'm going to stamp this one with her arms outreached. I'm going to stamp her on the left hand side, just coming in from the corner about here. So I only want, I'm going to aim for her wings and just having her feet come off the edge. Let me clean this stamp as well, because this one needs a clean as well. So let's just give that a wipe on the back so it's get the dust off. So once again I'm using Shady Lane. I'm sticking to Shady Lane and I'm looking at my stamp because I've patted it and I've got little marks right on the edge. I don't want them to go onto my card. I know they're not going to actually touch, but it's always best to look so that if you do want them to touch, like if the whole fairy comes on, you don't want them to, the extra ink to come onto your card. So I'm just going to place her down there like that. Give her a little wiggle and lift. Okay, so now we're going to do the next fairy, and we're going to use the whole of this fairy because she's going in the centre of the card, looking down on the mushroom, watching the magic fairy dust land on the mushroom. We need her about a little bit about there. So yes, that's perfect. So once again, I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And sorry about my throat. I'm going to place her right there. I'm just going to give her a little wiggle and a little press. And up we come. It's perfect. I'm just going to put my fairies back in their container. This is how I store all my Lavinia stamps, in these packets with a laminated stamped image on the top. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my word, which is the new word from the collection. It's called Forbidden Secrets. So we're going... So now I'm going to stamp the new words from Lavinia. They're called Forbidden Secrets. And it says, embark on an enchanted journey, explore the magic within, a forest gathering to a new beginning, Just believe, dream and walk on. Wisdom, knowledge and acceptance will always set us free. The way to find forbidden secrets is look hard and find the key. I think that's lovely. So I'm using an acrylic block again, and I'm going to do second generation and just around whoops, right, I'm going to do second generation. It stamps beautifully. Second generation, and I'm turning that way, and I'm making sure that my stamp is straight, and press, and then take it over. Just a few little words there that you can just about see, and then again just third generation, I think. Third generation just here. That's everything done. So that's our stamping of our words done. I hope you're enjoying the new collection. They really are lovely. And the design team has, oh gosh, some beautiful, beautiful samples. Everybody's worked extremely hard to get everything ready. Okay, so there we go. Right, so the next thing we're going to do, we haven't got much more to do now, is we're going to stamp our stars. So on my mini stamps, I keep them in these little packets in a box where they're all so easy to find. And once again, we are using Shady Lane. Right, and I'm going to use second generation for this. So stamp once. Or actually, you know, I think I will, for the ones that the fairies catching, I'll do there we go. So we've got our that's it for our stamping of our stars. So I think we've done all our stamping now. Yes, we have. And so now all we have to do now is just go around the edge of our card. So let's get a clean piece of paper so we've got no distractions. And I'm using my Lavinia brush, my green Lavinia brush again. And I'm just going to, I'm pinching together the bristles around the edge. So I can just go round the edge of my card. I'm not coming too far into the card because it's such a narrow card, but it will still draw the recipient's eye into where you want it to go. And there we go. That's in your brush, just squeezing the base so you can get a bit more pressure with it. Right, so the final touches are to use a green Uniball Signo pen. Okay, I'm going to dot my stars. Well, they're stars and circles, so I'm going to do, this is where the fairy dust comes from. It's just going to be watching the magic land on there and working its way down to this one. Now, I'm going to scribble this onto my Lavinia mat, which works wonders for this technique. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but I do it a lot. Little bit of water, just a tiny itsy bit of water, and get your paintbrush, not touching them. I'm just going to paint her wings in the green glitter. Now, I'm hoping that you can see that glistening on her wings. And also this fairy's wings. So both of them now have got glistening wings, and I'm also going to paint my fairy cap mushrooms. It just gives a subtle hint of glitter that doesn't take your eye away from the actual stamp itself, because you want the stamp to be the main focus. And there we go. That's our card done. Sorry, our bookmark done. Can you see that glistening? I hope you can. It really does look pretty. This is the bookmark to go with my little card. So to see the difference in, I don't mind, it's okay. It will never get two the same. So I've made one earlier. This is using the cap mushrooms, so I thought I'd show you this one as well. So this is using the moss cap cluster. I haven't made a card for this one yet, but I will do. And I'm placing my bookmark into a PVC sleeve that you can actually buy bookmarks from Lavinia as well, and you can also buy the PVC bookmark sleeves from Lavinia as well. So I hope you've enjoyed my demonstration. Have fun crafting. Enjoy the rest of your lovely weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.